This didn't happen by accident. You intentionally have chosen to be here today.
The BodCon 2024 replay. Confidence isn't confined to any one stage of life. It grows with us. Join Danae Mercer, renowned body positivity advocate and confidence coach, for a powerful keynote on embracing your unique beauty and strength at every age. In Confidence at Every Age, Embracing Your Power, Danae will share insights on how to harness your confidence, live boldly, and step into your authentic power, whether you're in your 20s, 40s, or beyond. This inspiring keynote will feature a Q&A session with the empowering Iskra Lawrence, where you'll get a chance to dive deeper and discover the confidence that evolves with you.
Hi, Danae. It is such a pleasure to meet you like this. Oh my goodness. I've just admired you online for so long. How are you doing today?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm so excited to be here. It's such an honor to be part of this incredible event. So, hi, everybody.
Right. I will say, Danae, I'm sure everyone watching might have, questions for you. So drop them in the comments. And of course, we will get to those. But I want to start off and just say that having this impact that you've had, do you ever expect that from just showing up in a really vulnerable way, that you would inspire so many millions of people?
Well, thank you. No, I didn't. It happened just by chance in a way, and it took me by surprise. I knew when I did my first post showing my cellulite that there was a response there, because for the very first time, I felt connected to the people that I was sharing with. I felt seen, I felt heard. And for me, that was so empowering and so beautiful. But I also had all these women, it was maybe 50 women at that point, and they were saying, oh, my body looks like that too. Oh, you have cellulite, I have that too. And from there, it just sort of grew and spiraled until I went viral multiple times during COVID, which also was sort of a whirlwind, very steep learning experience. And here I am today, and I'm so thankful that I get to speak to over 2 million women that have changed my life.
Right. I think that's one thing we never understand until you're in it, how sharing your story, and often sharing something that you maybe thought was something that you failed at or struggled with or found challenging, ends up being something empowering when we give it away. We open the floor up and allow people into that story or that struggle or experience. I know that we both, have struggled with eating disorders. And for me, I think one of the biggest gifts is now being able to see my eating disorder almost as something I can help other people with. Something that now I'm able to empower myself from, because it's become this positive thing. So I was wondering, again, because you've been so open online, is there one thing that you practice regularly that you feel like has really helped you cultivate that sense of self-confidence at any age?
Well, first, I want to say, I think we so often associate confidence with people who walk in the room and are the loudest and the biggest personalities, and the people who are never insecure, or the people who never worry. And I would say I'm not that person. Like, I am kind of a quirky introvert that, I really like books. I really like my cats. I really like my daughter and my husband. But I wouldn't say I'm the person that marches into a room and is like, hi, everybody, look at me. But right. I don't think you have to be that person to be confident. I think confidence is one of those beautiful things that sort of sits within us. And especially with age, it grows because we know that who we are is worthy of showing up however we want to show up. And so one of the things, I guess you asked, one of the things I do to cultivate it, to practice it. And, there's the normal stuff. There's the journaling, there's the meditation, there's the exercise, all the things that doctors tell us are so good for us. Something I've really leaned into, again, as I'm getting older, is allowing myself space to learn new things, and also to like suck at something new. So like a couple weeks ago, I started embroidering.
Oh,
yes, but I'm not very good. It's like embroider by numbers, right? And with my daughter, I get 5 stitches down, and then she wants to play with the needle, so we stop. But it's so empowering. It gives me a sense of confidence, because I'm like, no, I'm not great, but I can learn. And isn't this wonderful to challenge myself? So when it comes to self-love, it could be practicing wearing shorts. Maybe we don't feel brave in it right away, but we put them on. We can start to feel brave. We wear them around the house. We wear them around our loved ones. I think slowly but surely we realize, A, no one is that bothered by our wonderful cellulite or however we choose to show up. But B, what we are in all of our complexities is entirely and wonderfully valid.
I love that. And I think you're totally right. I think the definition of confidence that mainly we see online is portrayed as loud. It's the way we dress and really a visual thing. But confidence is such an inner feeling and energy. And I totally agree. Some of the most confident people I've met might not have been the first people I saw or spoke to in a room. They're the people and I realize they're just so confident and in tune with who they are. And they're unwavering in that because they truly know their value. And that to me, is true confidence. I love that you touched on that. So going through your journey of having an eating disorder, how did you decide to choose recovery? I feel like usually it's not obviously just one turning point, but sometimes there is a spark that we can remember that really, enables us to think, that's it, I'm choosing recovery. And I want to say you never look back, but obviously it's not a perfect linear journey. But what was that spark for you?
Well, I think you're right. For a lot of people, maybe there isn't one moment, one turning point. For me, there absolutely was, actually. My eating disorder really developed after my mother passed away. She raised me and my 3 siblings more or less by herself. Like, she was a huge part of my life and my best friend, and we were very close. And so after she passed away, my world fell apart very quickly, and a lot of very difficult things happened. And so I started leaning into food and restriction as a way of finding comfort and of controlling my world. I think for many people listening, if you are struggling with food or your body, I really challenge you to ask what's behind those behaviors, because so often it's not about the food. It's not about the way we look in the mirror. It's going to be about what we're feeling, what we're experiencing. In my case, food was a life raft, a really bad one, but it was my life raft. Controlling my food gave me something to hold on to and to help me in a really bad way, a really unhealthy coping mechanism. Things changed for me because my entire life, so my mom didn't finish high school, and she had her first child at 15. So she had me at 19. So my entire life, education has been very important to me. And I've worked very hard at school, and I've always been very academic, and it's really mattered to me. And my university, when I was sick, Creighton University, they had given me a scholarship. And it was you were surrounded by staff, you were surrounded by mentors. And I remember they hadn't seen me for a couple of months. It was like Christmas break and it was the holidays. I was all by myself. And, again, eating disorders, they're so isolating. You feel so shameful, you feel so embarrassed, and it tends to make things a lot worse. So I was all by myself. They saw me after Christmas break. I remember I walked into the room for a meeting about this scholarship, and I just saw these looks on their faces where I realized in an instant, if I didn't find a way to fix this, if I didn't find a way to stop what I was doing, to get better, to heal, I would lose everything I had ever worked for. It would be gone, not because they didn't love me, but because they didn't want to add more pressure to a girl that was already breaking. And so that really pushed me to seek help, to recognize I couldn't do it by myself. I think, again, part of body image and eating disorders is because it feels so shameful, but it also feels like we're making too big a fuss, right? Like, other people have it worse. It's not that big of a deal. I'm fine. I can fix this. I can handle this. But I think often we can't. If we're sick, we go to the doctor. If we're struggling, it's absolutely worth seeing a therapist, a nutritionist, someone who can help guide us into a better place. And so that's what I did. That's what my university helped me do.
Yeah, it's hard not to get emotional, because I'm just imagining you and that relationship with your mom and losing that. And then, her not being able to be there to also guide you through that. Because I think, with my mom, I remember the pivotal moment of deciding I needed to speak to someone, and she was the first person I spoke to. And I said, I'm really struggling with this. And also, some of the way that you communicate with me actually enables this behavior. And so we had just this really vulnerable. And so was there people who you felt safe to speak to? Where did you find your resources and advice? Did you feel comfortable like talking to friends? Were you in a relationship? I just would love to know how you navigated that, thinking back to, how I did, and where did you seek that support and what really helped you?
Well, I think, I'm really lucky. My university, I would say they saved me. Unfortunately, my friend group, I've spoken about this a bit on social media, but, we were like 19, 20. They weren't equipped to handle all the stuff I was dealing with. And they actually sort of dropped away. And that was part of what made it so awful for me, where you just feel so alone and so like you're drowning, right? You're like, what do I do? Where do I turn? How do I get out of this? And my university, there were a couple of staff and a couple of professors who were actually the ones that sat me down after that meeting. And they were like, look, Danae, we really care about you. We want to help you. We will take you to the offices where you need to go. We will be there. We will drive you to appointments. We will do whatever we need to do so that way you feel supported. And actually, one of those women has very much stepped into a mother role in my life. Like, she was the mother of the bride at my wedding. She comes every year for Christmas, or I go to her. And so it was one of the darkest times of my life, but it also opened the way to some really beautiful relationships that I'm so thankful for.
I love that. That's so reassuring. And I'm sure maybe some of the people watching this might be worried about feeling alone during recovery. But I also definitely have friends who have found community and found like new family members through their recovery, and finding, whether it's inpatient or outpatient, there is a really beautiful community there, and you are never alone on your journey. So thank you really for sharing that. And your mom sounds like a wonderful person. So we have this societal expectation that not just appearance is everything. It's essentially currency for women. That's how I've felt, for many, many years, that societal beauty ideal equaled success, happiness, even, successful relationships. And then we add into that the societal pressure to never age and stay young. So what advice would you give to someone who is naturally aging? We all age. And we know it's a privilege, but it's still really hard to undo the messages, the social media pressure, like even from peers. My mom picking, oh, you've got gray hairs, you're going to pluck them out. And I was like, I don't know. Should I? Like, how do we, navigate this when we're aging?
Look, I'm not going to sit here and say, like, don't ever dye your gray hairs, or like, don't do this or don't do that, or you need to do this. I think the way we navigate it is recognizing that for each of us, each and every single one of us, that journey is going to be different. And what feels right for you, what that looks like for you, isn't going to be what's right for me. Maybe you want to go completely gray, and that's a beautiful and powerful thing. Maybe I want to dye my hair until I'm 90 and go rainbow colors, and that's also a powerful and beautiful thing. So I think allowing yourself grace and kindness to explore what feels right for you, allowing a space where you question the beliefs that you have, that's something I do across the board for anything. It doesn't mean they stop. It doesn't mean, I don't know, say you are struggling with your cellulite. Allow yourself to question, okay, why do I feel bad about cellulite? If 80 to 90% of women have it, why do I think it's a strange thing? Why do I think it's a flaw? Why do I think it's a mistake? So allowing that space where you really challenge these ideas, maybe that helps you shift it, maybe it doesn't. Again, that's very unique to you. But I think with anything, when it comes to our appearance as women, giving ourselves that space to question, because so many of our insecurities are driven by a patriarchal industry that's profiting off of our insecurities. So allowing that challenge. And then if you still say, okay, well, yeah, I know cellulite is normal, but I don't feel like wearing shorts today. I'm going to wear leggings. Okay, that's, show up whichever way feels right for you, and give yourself kindness and really release that shame as you go along. I mean, I think us women, we are told to feel shame and embarrassed about every single decision we make, no matter which way it goes. I mean, you're a mom. You cannot win. Working mom, okay, that's wrong. Stay-at-home mom, okay, that's wrong. No children, yes, children. Oh, my gosh. So really releasing that shame and allowing yourself to navigate it in a way that's right for you.
Oh, beautiful. I'm taking this all in because I feel like, I'm going through all these shifts as well. And I'm feeling so much shame from some of the mom things that I share and talk about. And I think what's interesting is, if you're consuming social media, we're not telling you what to do ever. It's our lived experience. It's our truth. Combo feeding might be right for me. Breastfeeding in public might be right for me. Working, not working, whatever it might be. And so I think when you're consuming social media as well, just like take that in, that you don't have to have the same life as someone else, or take it in as your truth. It's that person's truth. So we've talked about aging, but what about confidence? Have you seen a shift, like what confidence looked like in your 20s versus your 30s versus your 40s? I would love, because there's going to be some people watching this who are maybe in their 20s, or maybe someone who's already in their 40s. So sharing those kind of like different bits of confidence would be great.
Absolutely. I would say as I've gotten older, I've definitely become more confident in who I am, confident in my skin, confident in my personality, in my quirks, and saying like, I don't know, I don't like clubbing at night. I like waking up at 7 a.m., which for a long time embarrassed me, because I was like, oh, but all the cool kids are staying out until, I don't know, 11 or 12. I don't know how late they stay out, later than me. But as I've gotten older, they referred to it as an analogy once, and I think this is great because I think this is very true, is throughout your life as a woman, you carry around, they said, I don't cuss very much, but they called it like a bag of fucks, like a bag of like, okay. So just keep that word in mind, because I'm not very comfortable saying it, but like you carry around this bag. Okay. And in your 20s, you just have all these ideas in it, and you're like, okay, well, they think this and they think this. And so this bag is heavy and it's weighing you down. As you get older, you start to think, well, actually, I don't care if they don't like me wearing sports kit all day. I don't care and you start to dump these out, because you start to realize I don't have to carry around this super heavy bag. And maybe you still have some, maybe some things still matter to you and you care about this, you care about that. But as you get older, the weight becomes lighter, this kind of burden that we are given to carry. So anyone who's watching this, who's like 20, or maybe you're, 29, and you're worried about turning 30, or every year I have had, it feels better in my skin. It feels better as myself. And for that, like, I wish I could go back to baby Danae and just be like, girl, you're great. Don't waste this.
I know. I think that really has always been like the driving force of like, keep sharing these messages, because if you can get to one person, it just sparks what sparked in us, but spark it sooner. Insecurities literally bind us. They are preventing you from living your life fully. And that's just so important to be free from those. And I think women as society, and I would love, like, what would your advice be if you have an insecure friend, or someone struggling with an eating disorder, someone who is struggling with their confidence even? How can we support them as a community, as a society, maybe even thinking about how we're speaking to them or what we're posting? How can we support someone?
Well, first off, I just want to say that it's very normal as a woman, as a female, to have these insecurities. I mean, new research is showing that by the age of 3, little girls are leaning towards words like pretty and prefer things tied to their appearance. by the age of 6, stats are showing now that it's like 80% of little girls think their bodies are too big.
Oh
So it's spiraling, and it's coming at a younger age. And I mean, we think maybe we're immune to it, or social media doesn't impact us, and oh my gosh, it does. So I just want to say, like, it's very normal. If you're struggling or your friend is struggling, it's a very normal thing. If you want to help someone else, so we're talking about another person, I think one of the most powerful things you can do is listen. Again, so much of this is tied to shame and embarrassment and the feeling that we're not worthy. I listened to a psychologist once who was saying, she was asked by a reporter, like, what's the one common theme you see across most people? And the psychologist said, well, you know, every single person who steps into my office thinks if they show who they really are, if they show that like true kernel of themselves, they won't be worthy of love, that there's something wrong with them. And I reckon so many of us in our like heart of hearts, we have that little insecurity, that little fear. And so if someone's struggling, one of the best things we could do is just listen, let them be seen, know that they're loved, that they're safe, and then point them to resources. I mean, NEDA, the National Eating Disorder Association, has like a free helpline that you can call. They have a bunch of free resources on their website. There are other charities like that, other organizations. So point them to resources. Do what you can to help guide them without judgment.
I love that. And I've got to ask, because I am a mom too, and I do have a daughter, and those statistics, like I almost can't look at them because it does terrify me. And I will obviously do my best to know what I've learned that's helped me. But we're navigating, you know, parenthood without a handbook, without knowing. All I know is I speak to myself in a loving way, and she will see that. But are you thinking there's any specific tools or anything, like conversations that you're going to have with your child to hopefully help them not go through what we went through?
I think you're absolutely right with the words you use towards yourself. That's so important. I think part of it is educating our partners, if there's a partner in your life, especially if they're men. I mean, my husband, a lot of the things that like seem so day to day and that I know are so loaded. For instance, if you say to a woman, oh, that dress looks a bit small on you, that dress looks a bit tight. I'm like, I'm not sure that's, you know, we have to just think about these things, especially if they're a teenager or a young girl. And so having those conversations with our partners to help educate, I'd really recommend that. But when it comes, so I have a little girl, if anyone's not familiar, she's almost 2. When it comes to how and what I'm doing with my daughter specifically, I am not commenting on her body in a visual way. I think she is radiant. I think she is a beautiful girl, but I'm very aware of how every single thing we say about a body kind of goes into our minds. Yeah. So I'm very careful about that. I'm very careful with how we talk about food. You know, it's not good and bad food. It's not, oh, you ate this cookie, so now, I don't know, mommy ate a cookie, now I have to go run. It's, oh, I ran and a cookie's wonderful and isn't this great? Like, yes. It's a celebration of things instead of punishment, instead of suffering. So I'm just trying to watch the words because I think they really matter. I mean, as a mom, right? It's tricky, it's delicate.
Of everything, and it's interesting how they even pick up. And I've noticed there's been a few times where my son has maybe even just had like dinner at a friend's house, and he's picked up some things of like, protein is good. And I was like, where did he hear that from? Protein is good. Like, so we're not only having to like not protect, because we can't protect them from the world, but we're having to somehow cultivate these conversations, not knowing where they might be learning certain things from either. So absolutely. I feel like yeah. Have you ever experienced, I mean, she's 2. Is she talking yet?
She is, and she's got opinions. She's got opinions. But it's interesting because I think it's very important to talk to children at a very young age about like no zones. And I know this is not exactly what we're talking about, but like with my daughter already, like I'm educating her around like her, no zones and using different words. But
Yeah,
I think we can extend that to body image. It's because we have to give them these tools, because they're going out in the world, and the world isn't always a kind and safe and nurturing place. And so it's up to us to be the ones that are informed and educating and absolutely giving them the tools. So, it's like for your son, if he goes to a house and, I don't know, protein is good. Well, sure, yeah, protein is great, but your brain literally requires carbs to function. So there's nuance there.
Totally. Now, I just want to ask if there is anyone in the comments who has a little question. So true, children are sponges. Yep, they pick up everything. You'd be so surprised. And yeah, it's very interesting. My son already compliments me, but it's usually on appearance-based things. And again, I'm like, where's he learned that from? But so yeah, there's a lot of unlearning to do in the whole community. Like you said, I think sitting down with your partner, with family, that's been a challenging one. I've had to have a few conversations that have been tough, telling grandparents that, like, when you're telling my child he's being entitled or you're affirming things. He's taking that in and saying, that's the type of person I am. And so there is a lot of work to do there. It's not just the impact you have. But I want to just, I guess, if anyone has any questions, please ask away. One question I want to know is, do you remember the day where you first felt true confidence? Like you stepped into your confidence, you were free from your eating disorder. Do you remember that day? What was it? What was that feeling?
Look, I'm not that person that like walks in a room and is like, hello, look at me, I'm super confident. I don't think I've ever hit that point where I'm like, I am a true confident goddess. Like, observe my, beautiful, confident power. I think confidence is a journey, and some days we feel stronger and some days we feel more delicate. And some days I feel like my most radiant, powerful self. And then the next day I'm like, we're going to have a little battle today, aren't we? So I would say I feel the most confident usually when I'm moving my body. Not it, I certainly don't look what society says. Like, I get really red. I get like really red. No. I saw myself in a yoga position the other day, and I was like, oh wow, it's like a tomato. It's a nice tomato glow. It's not just a glow, it's tomato. But you know what? I love it. And I feel so confident, and I feel so strong, and I feel so powerful. So if anyone is struggling and you like a little bit of movement, I'd recommend that.
And what are your 3 words or an affirmation or a phrase that you're taking into 2025 to affirm how you want that year to be and feel for you?
Oh my gosh, 2025. I feel like 2024 has just kind of hit me over the head. I'm like, how is it already almost December? How is it almost Christmas? I would say an affirmation that I'm going to take into it is, you are capable and you can grow.
Ooh, love that. Absolutely love that. I think that's a beautiful way to end this conversation. So grateful to have you here on BodCon. I know you've done the podcast and a bunch of other amazing things. And obviously you work with Nita too. So if you do not follow Danae already, she is a wonderful force of positivity. And like you said, a different type of confidence too. And I think that that's what's so unique about your content. And it really come as you are. And you're talk about developing your confidence in such a beautiful, gentle way. I really appreciate this conversation and learning from you. And yeah, I hope we get to connect soon. And thank you all for listening to this keynote. And we'll be right back. Bye.
Bye, everybody. Bye.
Subscribe to this channel and also give it a like. And if you want to follow along with us in real time, you can find us at the BodCon on Instagram and TikTok.